Welcome back, everybody, to the main stage, where we will be taking the second session on perfect practice. If you're looking for building resilience or careers clinic, you're in the wrong room. But welcome, everyone, and this session is going to be focused on developing leadership skills, and I'm really pleased to welcome Paula McMahon, who's structure engineers at who's a structures engineer, just one of her. Probably need more, but we've only got one of her today at Sir Robert McAlpine. So take it away, Paula. Get me off the screen because I'm making a real mess of this one.
Thanks, Susan. So, as Susan said, I'm going to speak about developing your leadership skills. So I'll just run through what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell you who I am. We're going to talk a bit about what is leadership, and then we'll think about what leadership skills are, and then we'll have a chat about how to practice perfect, the title of this talk, and then we'll have questions and answers. So there's plenty of time to put questions and answers in. Stick them in throughout, and Susan will go through them when I've finished. Okay, so who am I? Well, my title is Structures Engineer. I don't do a lot of that. In fact, I do none of that anymore. It was my title from 7 years ago, and I haven't actually bothered asking anybody to change it. But there's a key point. In order to be a leader, you don't actually need a special title. So who am I? I'm a WES member. I'm a former, on the former apprentice list for the WE50 list a couple of years ago, 2019. I'm also a fellow of WES. I'm a civil engineer. In fact, I'm a chartered civil engineer and a fellow of the Institution of Civil Engineers. I am the European Weiss Award Lifetime in Engineering recipient for this year. I'm a mentor. I'm the Regional Supervising Officer for Sir Robert McAlpine in Scotland and the North. And I've also recently received the G4C Mentor of the Year for the North East. I'm a STEM ambassador. I've been formerly a STEM ambassador for a long time, since 2005. But I'm also the last year's ICE STEM Ambassador of the Year award winner, and I'm a leader. That's been shown through the Lifelong Inspiration Award from the Tees Businesswoman Awards, and also I'm a fellow of the Chartered Management Institute. So why am I here? Well, I am a massive believer that leadership matters, but not just leadership matters, inclusive leadership matters. Friendly, welcoming everybody, acting and being a leader. So why do I think it's important? Well, I'm a mentor, and I like to tell people how important it is for your own career. So it's important for you. But it's also important to give us a diverse workforce. There's lots and lots of reasons why we need a diverse workforce, but mostly because it will be a much better place to work and will be more effective. And as I've said before, we absolutely and utterly all can be leaders. And I just want to reinforce that point that you, that listening on the screen, can be a leader. So what is leadership? Well, put it into Google, you'll get lots and lots of different answers, but they're all pretty much, if you look through, they're all pretty much on a theme. So what's the theme? Well, leaders empower people, they inspire people, they lead change and improvements, they share a vision. So a couple of quotes: leadership is doing what is right when no one is watching, all about ethics, all about how you behave. And leadership is about creating two things: inspiration and results. If you just concentrate on results, you tend to be more on the management spectrum. If you concentrate on being inspiring while you're actually creating the results and concentrating upon that empowering and inspiring people, the chances are you're on the leadership spectrum. But just remember that most people actually have a combination of both. It's rarely you get a manager that doesn't have some amount of leadership skills, and you almost cannot be a leader without having some sort of management skills. So what skills are we talking about? Well, I think right at the heart of it is that inspire. But what we've got to think about is we've got to actually have a vision. We've got to know that we're going in a certain direction. There isn't any leadership without a vision. Where are you leading somebody to? Where are you inspiring them to go to? You've got to have a journey, an end of a journey to enable to partake in a journey. But also a big skill being with leader is listening to people, that empathy, that thinking about what do other people want, what do other people need to help you get to that vision. And being ethical, I think, is a key part of being a leader as well. You have to do what's right. That will you be doing something even if nobody's watching? Are you leading by example? So let's just have a quick think about that practicing perfect. Let's just concentrate on that word perfect for a second. It's a word that actually is unattainable. Perfection isn't something that exists, because what you think is perfect today won't necessarily be perfect tomorrow. You would just want to tinker with it to make it more perfect. Or you might think, I've gone too far and I want to take it back a step. What you think is perfect and the person sat or stood next to you is perfect is also very, very different. And what's perfect for today and perfect for next year is definitely different. So I don't think that thinking that you're going to strive for perfection in anything is a good thing to think about, because that's when you'll get yourself really tied up in a knot and you'll never be satisfied. So what I would like to think is that you practice growth. Let's be that little bit better tomorrow. Let's learn from what we're doing. So let's think instead, when we're thinking about all of these different skills, instead of it being absolute, we're going to nail it today, let's think we're going to be a little bit better today than we were yesterday and a little bit better tomorrow. Let's think about growth. So what's the skills that we're talking about? What's the things that you can actually practice? Well, thinking about them sort of topics of what I say good attributes of a leader, thinking about ethics. So think about finding role models. Can you find someone that you actually think that's the type of person that I want to be? That's the type of person that I look up to. And so once you find them, right, think about it. Well, what is it about them that actually I think is ethical, I think is show leadership skills, is the type of person that I want to be? And then when you found them and you've examined it, then be that person. Anyone can be a role model to anybody. And thinking about the listening skills, empathizing with people. You don't have to be in their shoes. You're never going to live in somebody else's shoes. You only live in your own. But by listening to people, you can learn to empathize more. And by listening is a really big skill. And once you do empathize and once you can see things from somebody else's perspective, then you can actually think differently. And so with all of this, the things that you can do and the skills that you can help and the way you can help improve them skills is by networking, speaking to other people, chat to other people, and just remember to always be kind. Don't underestimate how kindness matters. So the other thing that we said that a leader needs is the vision. They need that plan. They need the end goal to get the journey. So have a think about that planning stage. This is something that you can practice, and it absolutely comes with experience. Always think, what do you want to achieve? And it could be at home, it could be at work, it could be in society in general. And learning to plan is a skill. You might be learning it at wherever, college, university, or wherever you're at. And practicing does help much more. You'll learn from your mistakes. But always think of that. What do I want to achieve? And then have yourself a little bit of a step back. Right? Have I included everything? And don't just think about it in terms of the task itself. Remember, managers think about just the task, but think about the people. Have I included everyone? Have I included everyone in every set of circumstances? And so it's also that inclusive leadership that you're thinking about to make sure that nobody's left behind in your vision. And then you do it. And when you do it, it'll be, you can't do everything all at once. You need to prioritize things. What's the things that really matter? What's the things that will really help you reach your vision? And then obviously you've got to program it. There's skills you can learn to actually look at programming things and planning it out in a rigorous way. But Prioritising it is what the leader will do. What's the real thing that will make a difference? And then when you're doing it, you need to act upon it. But just always keep in mind that things don't go to plan, rarely go to plan. So just monitor it. Is it actually working? Is it achieving what I want it to achieve? If it isn't, shall I amend it? Shall we shall we adjust our vision? More often than not, it's not adjusting the end journey, it's not adjusting the vision, but it's actually adjusting the things that you need to do to get there. So practice doesn't make perfect, but it absolutely does make you more confident. That experience, that confidence, everything from standing up in front of an audience to being able to write reports, to being able to plan things out, absolutely not. It gives you more confidence, gives you more experience. So things that you can do that encompass all of these different things: listening and empathizing, having a vision and trying to achieve a goal, being ethical and inspiring people, that you can do regardless of whether you're in a job, not in a job, is you can actually think about doing things that are fun and creative and inspire others yourself. Now, even if you never had a job, even if you're on a pathway to your own job, you can be a STEM ambassador and you can join the WES networks. So within them, there's lots of different resources that you can use. You can buddy up, you can share ideas. And that might not be a leader in the workplace, but you're gathering all of these skills, you're practicing and you're gaining confidence whilst having fun, being creative and inspiring everybody to come into your profession, to learn from your mistakes, to be the person that they're capable of being. So some things to give you some ideas is you can look at the Wes Lottie tour. I love the Wes Lottie dolls. By being involved in Wes, you can obviously you're doing networking, and there's My Four Dolls there partaking in our Wes Tyne and Tees cluster meeting. So you can join and do things like that, and that'll also enhance lots of skills that you can have in terms of networking, sharing ideas and things like that. The one in the middle, I'm showing Lottie to share a message about sustainability, and she's there at COP26 in the Blue Zone with me a couple of weeks ago. And the final one is Lottie sharing a message about inclusion. She sat on a rainbow covered JCB at London Build Expo last week. And so with a bit of creativity, you can have fun and you can also inspire. One thing doesn't have to stand alone. You can do lots of different things and show you're a leader in many different ways. So just to recap, what is leadership? What are leadership skills and how to practice perfect? Well, you can be that change. If you look to grow your skills, but make sure you're always inclusive and kind. Practice that personal growth and don't be too hard on yourself. Perfection doesn't exist. And just remember, along the way, you can totally and utterly inspire others, regardless of what your job title is, your position in your university cohort or whatever. So I'm going to hand back over to Susan, who's going to monitor the questions, and I will stop sharing my screen. Have I stopped sharing?
Thank you, Paula. Thank you, Paula. That was brilliant. I know I learned some things in there, so thank you. I'm sure everybody else did as well. So everyone put your questions in the chat, and we'll pick those up with Paula in a second. I'll kick off, Paula. Having a look at your introduction, people might look at you and think, oh my goodness, she's got all these awards, she's amazing. Like, there's been a lot of chat about confidence, imposter syndrome. So I'm going to ask you to share some of your situations where you might have built, what do you do to build resilience so that those times when things haven't gone so well, you've been able to kind of cope? Because I think what I'm picking up from the students and the early careers, they're very worried about what's coming next. And so I think some advice on how to prepare yourself for, maybe things not going perfectly first time would land quite well with people.
Yeah. So first of all, stuff like this, right? I would never have done stuff like this when I was, what I'm guessing is your age at university. I used to absolutely hate it. And I overcame that by just doing it. And I've now realised, and I'm obviously considerably older and considerably, arguably wiser, that actually all the good stuff happens in that sort of uneasy zone. Pushing yourself that bit further, that's, you know, saying yes, getting on with it. You know, you say yes, sometimes think, oh my God, what did I do? What did I do?
We've all been there.
And then you get there and you go, oh my goodness. For example, this was mental, right? I actually went to an Institution of Structural Engineers dinner the other day, and somebody says, will you just do this part in a play? And I went, I go on then. I sat there and I went, what am I doing? What am I doing? I'm in a play. This just isn't me at all. But you know what? It was great fun. And the reason why it was great fun was, it's a bit like the perfection thing. Don't take myself too seriously. Right? Literally, what's the worst that can happen?
And also with that, you know, taking that example, with that being something that was so far out of your comfort zone, did you kind of go in with a bit of a mindset like, I'm just going to have a go, I've got low expectations?
Low expectations. You know what? If you've got low expectations, the only way is up, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And,
yeah,
and that's to do with confidence, but that's also, and again, I've learned it over the time. I haven't always been that confident. I also haven't always been that resilient, right? And again, I've learned it over time that basically, you know what, if you overthink it, right, and you think, what's the worst that can happen, right, you'll just drive yourself mental, totally mental, right? And yes, things don't always go to plan. That's guaranteed, right? So the best that will happen will never happen in your head, right? Whatever you think the best is will never happen. It'll always be tarnished somewhere, and if you think that it's going to be perfect, right? But what you think is the worst that will never happen won't happen neither, right? The chances are it's going to happen more towards the perfection end than it is towards the disaster end, right? And if you just say, you know what, them bits just haven't gone to plan, and you just move on and think, yeah, but all of this stuff did go to plan, then that just is everything, really. I mean, I've seen people organise weddings, right, and they want everything to be perfect, and they go absolutely crackers that one thing went wrong. The cake arrived 10 minutes early, or the printer got smudged something, right? Did you get married? Did you have fun? Right? Well, that's what matters. The detail doesn't.
Yeah, I hear you. I don't think we've ever looked at our photo album.
Yeah. People, right, I once went to a wedding where we never ate until 7 o'clock at night for the day do, and the night do people were there because they were getting the photos done for about 6 or 7 hours. Yeah, we probably probably spent more person hours waiting for the photos to be taken than they've actually spent in that album. And you know, so just think, what if it feels important at the time, right, and you're really stressing about it, just ask yourself a question. Do you think it'll feel this important in 5 years' time? Right? And if it'll be that important in 5 years' time, then give it 5 minutes and say, yeah, right, I will dwell upon it a bit more. If the answer is definitely no, I won't care about it tomorrow, right, let it go.
So kind of prioritize things and try and get things in perspective. And I think, you know, the other thing I heard you say was to always be learning. So when things don't go right, just think, okay, well, you know, we're just going to chalk that up to experience. Here's what I learned. Yeah,
exactly it. There's enough pressures in life, right? There's totally enough pressures in life, from home, from work, from society, from everything, right? Why load them on yourself, right? Think about everything as that journey, right? Think about everything as the focus. Think about the end goal. It doesn't matter whether on that journey you hit bumps in the road. Just treat them as bumps in the road, you know. But think about, am I actually going to achieve that end goal? Am I going to achieve that aim?
And I think as well, the other thing to point out is, you know, when you're, you know, still young, you're at the beginning of your career, there are going to be more of those times where you don't get things right because you don't have the experience to build on. So, you know, that it might feel like there's more that is not right than is right, but that's natural at the beginning, right?
Yeah, that's why we have graduate programs where we have people that are more mentors, because you almost don't know what question to ask. Right, you just know you don't know, but I don't. So, and a more experienced person would say, how do I do this part of it? Whereas a less experienced person or anybody that has never done task whatever before just goes and goes, it's this enormous task.
Yeah.
Where do I start? I don't even know what to ask the question to get to the first point. So that's the question. Just ask someone, what's the key things I need to know? What's the things that you've done wrong? Yeah, and everybody's done stuff wrong, right? Anybody that tells you they've never done anything wrong in their lives is either kidding themselves or they're kidding you.
Yeah.
Right? Because nobody that's done anything at all has ever done everything perfect.
And I think something else that I've picked up throughout the day from the sort of questions that have come through is that feeling that people might feel that asking for help marks them out as someone who doesn't know what they're doing. But so you've obviously, asked for help at the right times, and so perhaps you can, share with everyone how important it is and how that's viewed by someone in your position if the newcomers are asking questions. What do you see when you see someone asking for help?
I see someone that wants to progress. I see someone that wants to achieve, right, that wants to get the job done. And what employer, what mentor wouldn't want that to happen? I mentor lots and lots of different people, and I just can't repeat enough. You need to ask something. There's no such thing as a daft question. There really isn't. Fine. I'd rather tell people something twice than not at all. But equally, you don't know what questions to ask. But often people don't know what to tell you because they don't know what the blank is. So if you communicate and you don't ask the question, you're never going to know. And every day is a school day. Everybody learns something every day. But when you're right at the very beginning of your career, you're learning more and more and more. Yeah. But if you don't ask, you don't get, and you'll only get frustrated, and then you will be the person that you're fearing that you're going to be. You're going to not do very well. Just simply because you haven't asked the question.
And I think the other thing is sometimes when you get a group of people who've been in something in the detail, they've been working up for a long time. Sometimes it takes the new person to ask the naive question that no one's thought to ask actually, and it can be a game changer sometimes, can't it?
Yeah, a good question to ask. Here's a tip, right? Is instead of saying how do I do that, right? A good question to ask is why are we doing this? And to understand actually why you're doing it. So again, that's another sort of way of looking at things like a journey. I'm doing this in order to create that, not I'm filling in this box. What's the form for? What are you trying to achieve? So ask what. So why are we doing this? What are we achieving? What's it working towards? Because you might only be, again, when you're at the beginning of your career, you'll have less responsibility because you've got less experience. But it's good to know where that you might only be doing a small task, but it's part of something bigger and part of something bigger again. But to understand where that small task fits within that bigger project, company. Most people welcome questions.
Yes, I agree. And going back, so Jordan's sort of said thank you for your talk, and he said thank you, really enjoyed learning the difference between manager and leader. And I think maybe with we've got some more mature graduates on here, so people who've got a bit more experience, but people who will have less experience in the workplace, to understand that right from day one they can practice those leadership capabilities without having that classic team to manage, which is what you might think, well, I can't practice these things because I don't have people I'm managing. I'm not leading anyone, on the org chart. But actually the way you've explained it is it's a set of behaviors. It's, it's not the role you've got, it's how you behave.
Exactly, yeah. A manager requires the job title and the role. They require a team of people to create a task. Right, a leader can be anyone, anywhere, and you can create positive change in others and yourself, and it's a total positive spiral. It totally and utterly sort of that you learn by teaching others as well. and again, having them dialogues and having that feedback, you know, and networking and speaking to people and pushing yourself ever so slightly outside of your comfort zone all the time is a real sort of gives you that growth mindset, and that's what you need. That's what a leader has.
Yeah, and just coming back to, again, your sort of experience in your CV, you obviously do a lot of voluntary work and STEM and mentoring. Can you perhaps talk to people a little bit about things they might be doing at uni or voluntary roles in their work or outside of work, and how that might help them with their development plans? So, you know, they've got that rounded view, although it's not strictly done in the professional arena, how that, you know, might help them to become better leaders. Can you talk about some of your experience of doing some of the voluntary things you've done?
Yeah. So generally speaking, it gains your confidence, and it teaches you skills. You're practicing something. You're developing a presentation, whether it be verbal, whether it be on a PowerPoint, whether it be explaining how to make spaghetti and marshmallow towers, or whatever it might be. Yeah, you're learning these things, and all of these things then expand, and so then you learn how to do that, and then you can do something. You know, if you can speak to a group of 5-year-olds, believe you and me, that's sometimes more scary than speaking to a board of directors, right? So it's all good for that, for personal development, but it absolutely goes in your portfolio as well, right? You should be creating a portfolio of all of this extracurricular stuff that you do, and that makes you stand out against all the other people in your cohort that haven't done extracurricular things. And all of this, by the way, if you go for professional development for whatever institution you're going for, all of this really does count for that sort of thing. And it counts towards, if you want to put your head above the parapet and put yourself forward for something like the WE 50 list, all of that counts. All of that being good for society. So it's good for you and it's good for society. But it's also as well for when you go into a company. Most companies have a requirement to do what we call social value or community engagement. We have to put in our tenders. So actually you go with that mindset and that ability to do it, and you're actually also welcomed at a company because they've got to do it, and very few people actually want to.
No, that's great advice. I've got the sort of warning that we're about to finish. So thank you, Paula. You've been excellent. I think it's really great. Hopefully people have got some insight in how to build confidence, what things they can do to build up their CV, and to have different strands, different strings to their bow, and how that then might help them with resilience and confidence and general leadership skills. So that's been really brilliant. Thank you. Are you happy for people to get in touch if they've got additional questions? Maybe through LinkedIn or
LinkedIn. I'm Paula_McMahon. Just look me up and join me.
On a separate note, I did once present to a group of 5-year-olds, and I finished, and at the end they all ran up and hugged me, which I was not prepared for. That hasn't happened since.
Always remember, with 5-year-olds, them fingers have been up noses and up bums.
Exactly. It's not the most hygienic. But thank you so much, Paula. It's been a real pleasure to chat with you, and I do encourage everyone to reach out to Paula if you've got further questions. As Elizabeth said, she's very approachable, and very approachable. That's how you've come across today. So even if you're not feeling super confident, I think Paula's a good place to start if you're looking for some advice. So thank you so much, and enjoy your evening.
Be a leader, everyone.
So we've just got to wrap up now in the main arena. So see you back there, everybody.